Well, greetings, Pat, on this momentous occasion. Evie and I are so sorry we can't be there with you and your family to celebrate. And Ann, greetings to you as well. You've done a remarkable job organizing this weekend, Ann, and I must imagine it's the greatest pastor's retirement event ever. We so much appreciate being invited.
Yes, and I'll second that, Ann and Pat. We really wish we could be there.
Well, Pat, I want to start with an observation, and I suspect others there will agree with me on this. You and I came out of a huge college ministry at Fourth Presbyterian that spawned a lot of interest in the students there in career ministry. From there and many others that I met when I was young, I knew many who became pastors. Yet I don't know of anyone besides you who has had a more impressive career as a pastor, which in your case has approached 4 decades. You spent most of this time as a senior pastor, including the courageous launching of a new church in Colorado Springs. And you've experienced great joy during much of this time. But you've also endured some of the greatest frustrations that a pastor can suffer. Yet these have never thrown you off the saddle. You've hung in there and faithfully, energetically pursued your calling, and greatly effectively. You've not only been a passionate, inspiring preacher, but you've done something so few pastors are able to do effectively. You've been a true friend to those to whom you've ministered. People have always been first in your ministry, and this has simply been as natural as breathing to you. And of course, this has been a mutual effort. You and Ann have done this together. Ann has been incredibly supportive and creative in working with you in ministry while pursuing a very successful career of her own. And really, I don't know of any husband and wife team in church ministry who've been a more inspiring role model to the people they've served. And Pat, you've been an extraordinarily good friend to me personally, and I could spend much more than the 5 minutes I have to elaborate. You're one of my oldest and dearest Christian friends. You were already there at Fourth Presbyterian when I became a Christian in my 3rd year of college, and you were always available when I needed encouragement. It was also a blessing to work with you as students on the volunteer youth ministry staff there, the youth family as we called it. There's a very young Chuck Miller who directed that ministry for a while, and then Russ Cadle, Rustlin' Cattle, who took it over from him, and a surreal photo of Dr. Halverson speaking at one of our summer retreats. And Pat, here are you and me leading singing with students on a trip to Rehoboth, probably the summer of 1966 or 67. And there's a classic Hartsock photo for you. Our ministry team produced a lot of skits, but probably my favorite memory from those skits is the strains of Odorithia's Sock crooning that notorious Buffalo Gap song. Well, Pat and then Ann, your support continued 3,000 miles away when Evie and I as newlyweds moved to Pasadena in 1974 for my time at Fuller Seminary. You guys were already there. And here's a stunning photo of Ann in Pasadena at that time. Ann, you look like a young starlet. And here's Pat, also in Pasadena, as a young stud. And you two were so supportive to us in our year there. And Pat, at one point, your counsel helped me resolve to stay in the D-Min program at Fuller when I was tempted to bail out. I was in that program to prepare for a seminar and teaching ministry that I hoped to launch. And when I did start it in 1978, Pat, you were the first person to invite me to come and speak. Over the Christmas holidays that year, I had the great privilege of being the speaker for a retreat that you organized for the college students at Central Presbyterian in Baltimore, where you were serving. And then later in 1979, you were the first to invite me to give a weekend seminar for a congregation, a 10-hour event that about 50 folks from Central Pres attended. And these conferences were a tremendous boost to me and a giant jumpstart toward doing many such events in the years ahead with Nehemiah Ministries. It meant so much that you believed in me enough to open these doors. And here's a shot of you and me in Colorado Springs when you had me come out there in 1985 to do a seminar. Well, it was only natural then, Pat, for me to ask you to be on my ministry board. There's the Nehemiah board before you joined. We were a diverse group. And here's my newsletter announcement that you were joining in early 1982. And you faithfully supported me in that role for almost 30 years during my time with Nehemiah Ministries. Your counsel was invaluable on so many levels, Pat, both spiritually and practically, not to mention the wise financial insight of H&R Sock. Whoops, that's not supposed to be in there. Sorry. There you go. That's what it ought to say. Well, Pat, Ann, and Jay, Evie and I are sad that you're moving far away to Colorado Springs. But we're thrilled for you personally, for that's where you enjoy the happiest memories from your ministry and young family life, and it makes enormous sense for you to retire there. We wish you the Lord's very richest blessings as you move to this promised land, and as you seek to discover how you can best minister there, and as you enjoy some greatly deserved leisure as well. We hope your new home in the Springs is a marvelous respite for your whole family, and a place where all of you can gather to make many new happy memories in the years ahead. God's richest blessings to all of you. Again, we wish we were there tonight. But Luke, thank you. I so much appreciate this opportunity to share via this video.
And bye from me, Ann and Pat. I hope things go super well for you in your move to Colorado Springs, and hope we can see you soon. We love you guys.
Oh, and Pat, I'm not quite done. Just one more question before I take off. Has everyone there met your sidekick? If not, make sure they do before the night's over. So long.